As the Chicago Bulls are gearing up for a matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers, a lot of people are asking, what are the Bulls' chances of legitimately moving up to the 8th seed in the Eastern Conference and having a chance to have a home court game in the play-in tournament, or just have to win one game? We're going to talk about that. Plus, we're going to talk about the play of Coby White and him hitting a huge achievement. And is it time for the Chicago Bulls to just shut Lonzo Ball down for the entirety, well, the rest of the 2024-25 season? We're going to get into all that plus more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host here, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go and get into this content for today, y'all. And our Chicago Bulls, man, winners of 7 out of their last 10 games. They have an amazing record since the All-Star break. The Bulls have just been playing really, really well. And it's really good seeing more and more acknowledgments come to the Bulls for how they've been playing. You know, the last 2 games have not been against the best competition. So, no, we're not trying to, focus on just that. It's just the fact of this is a team that really, when you look at everything from where they were last season to this season, all the change and turnover over the roster, the new style of play, right? Those type of things that have been happening. The team being a solid defensive team without really having, when looking on paper, the best defensive players on this team, like, all those things are putting it into this position and situation where the Bulls are just they're on the uptick. And I've said it many times before. They still have to prove that they can do this next season before you legitimately start like believing that this is just who they are. But there've been more than enough signs to point to that. They just got to go out there and prove it. I'd be saying that about any team at this point in the season, right? But the Bulls are looking towards that play-in matchup. And a lot of Bulls fans are asking themselves, who are the Bulls going to be facing in the play-in? Can the Bulls move up legitimately to the 8th seed? And while there's absolutely a chance of that, make no mistake about it, there's a big chance that the Bulls can move. And statistically, they're not ruled out of that. They're 1 game behind the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks do have the tiebreaker, though, as it stands right now against the Chicago Bulls. If we were to end it in a tie, the Bulls have a matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers coming up, and I think that as well that the Hawks have an easier schedule remaining as well. Not to say that all means something. We'll see who's resting players, things like that. The Atlanta Hawks, for what it's worth, have the 27th hardest schedule in the league, so they have the 4th easiest schedule remaining. The Miami Heat have the actual easiest schedule remaining on their record, and the Chicago Bulls have the 23rd easiest schedule remaining. So the 23rd hardest schedule. So the 8th easiest schedule remaining is the way that it works out. So with that said, this game against the Cleveland Cavaliers is the most difficult on paper matchup left against the Bulls. If the Bulls were somehow here to upset the Cavs on Tuesday, that would really change some things over how this season could end as far as in the standings. But as of right now, it does seem like the Bulls and Miami Heat are destined to do this again, as it has happened in every play-in tournament. I think since the play-in became a thing, is that the Bulls are going to face off against the Miami Heat. Right now, are the Bulls going to be ready for it? This is a Miami Heat team that's in a lot different of a place than what it was before. No Jimmy Butler. They still have won 6 out of their last 10 games. The Bulls have won 7 out of their last 10 games. The Miami Heat, though, are on a 2-game losing streak, where the Bulls are on a 3-game winning streak. And the Atlanta Hawks and the Orlando Magic, for that matter, both been playing a lot better here over the ending part of the season, right? So this is going to be a dash to see who and what and how the teams finish. And while you look at it from the 7th seed to the 10th seed, it's only 3 games that separate those teams. With 4 games remaining on the schedule, anything's still possible and up in air. But for that to happen, is that the Hawks would almost have to lose out. The Bulls would almost have to win out. There's still a chance that the Bulls even do fall down to the 10th seed with how easy the Miami Heat schedule is, but East's schedule isn't always what it's cracked up to be. So we'll see how this ends up shaking out for the Bulls. I think overall, you look at the play that the Bulls have had, they're gonna be competitive in just about every game. We'll see what they do against the Cavs, right? That's gonna be the matchup. But then that matchup against the Miami Heat that comes after that is gonna be really important for how this season ends for the Bulls as far as the standings, things like that. We face off against the Miami Heat the day after the Cavs game on that Wednesday at home, at least, right? So then we have one game out on the road against the Cavs. Well, two technically because we face the Hornets out on the road as well. But we have one more game out on the road against the Cavs. We come back home for 2 games, and then we face off against Philadelphia out on the road. Depending on how this shakes out, if the Bulls were to finish with the 10th seed, that game April 11th against Washington could be the last home game of the season for the Bulls. Let's knock on wood that we get to represent at home sometimes over this play-in tournament. But, the Bulls, for what it's worth, as this season wraps up to an end, this has been a season that, and I talked about it a couple episodes ago, that we've seen a lot of what we needed to see from this Bulls team. Josh Giddey and Coby White and what they have provided as far as an engine for this offense has been tremendous. You look at and the way that they've also learned how to step up with more scoring responsibility, right? Like I've said it many times, and I don't say it as a knock, but Josh Giddey and in his preferred world would be more of a setup guy than having to score a lot, right? But he's recognized that he has to score on this team, and how he does it has been really good, right? The way that he's gone about it has been really good. Coby White, he is the scorer, right? And right now he is the number 1 scorer on this team, and he's going to be the number 1 scorer on the team unless something drastically changes. And what these guys have provided in clarity and the addition to a play style and getting everybody involved has been huge, right? Not to overlook role players like Zach Collins and Kevin Huerter, Nikola Vucevic, who's been playing much better over the last 2-3 games as well, right? Those have been, really good things to see. And then, of course, the young rook and Matas Buzelis, and what Buzelis has brought to this team as far as that bright, that shining light that could be very bright in the Bulls' future, right? As he continues to develop and goes all out, that's a thing that needs to happen. So, as this team really continues to just grow, continues to step up, those type of things, it's been really good, man. It's been really good and fun to see this team really be the team that's been scrappy here over the second half of the season. And you look at their win total, 36 wins. They're past my win total on the season. Right now, they do have 42 losses already, so it's guaranteed another losing season for the Chicago Bulls. But if they can win 3 out of these last 4 games, they finish with the same record they did last year with a lot of their veterans in Drummond and Caruso and DeMar and Zach being gone, right? Torrey Craig being gone, right? So, and that's the thing, not to say that we haven't added veterans. Kevin Huerter is a veteran. Zach Collins is a veteran. Trey Jones has come into this team, and he gave us while he was playing. But then the injuries as well that we've dealt with, right? Lonzo's played 35 games this season. Trey Jones went down at a point this season. Jalen Smith, whatever's going on with him, we'll talk about him a little bit later on in the episode. He hasn't been playing lately, right? So what the Bulls have done with this season has been really fun to watch. And it's been fun to see this team figure it the hell out, right? And they've given themselves a base, right? And as I said, I think in yesterday's daily episode, they've definitely raised the floor. Now it's time to see how much they've really raised the ceiling, right? I think the expectations for this team is going to be in such a better place than what it was last season. Like there are people predicting the Bulls to win 28 games last season, right? At the start of this season. So, it's definitely not going to be that next season. And I think the Bulls have shown, especially with this coaching, Billy Donovan is another one that definitely needs to be acknowledged, like what he has done with a coaching job. And keep in mind, I'm not a Billy Donovan guy at all, but I'm going to acknowledge real is real. Billy Donovan has done a really good job at that, man. A really good job at that. So, as he continues to grow and he continues to fill it out, at this team maybe just fits more of what his play style is and what he wants to do. I think that plays a part into all of this as well. So, we'll see how the Bulls finish the season, whether they get into the playoffs or not. A lot of people are still looking at the lottery standings, and for what that's worth, the Bulls are falling down to 12th in the lottery standings, which means they have a 7.1% chance at a top 4 pick and a 1.5% chance at the number 1 overall pick. That's where it is right now for those that want to keep watching that. So if the Bulls were to get eliminated from the play-in, that'll be around the way they were as the season ends right now. We'll see how the record goes on as well. But listen, I mean, this team has basically done what they told us they wanted us to do, what they wanted to do. They've developed some young players. They've gotten younger. They've established a new play style that's more modern. and they regained their pick. That was the thing. They didn't say where that pick needed to be, but they wanted to regain that first round pick to continue bringing in an influx of young talent to this team, and they've done that. So, I get it. Everybody has their own personal things that they would like to see on this team, and this team do, but this team's picked their direction, and we got to see it out. And I hope, for the love, that AK actually sees this direction out this time, right? And I hope that's just what happens, right? Last time he said that when he came to this team and took over this team, he said a direction he wanted to go on. 6 months later, he changed that direction and went all in, right? And try to jumpstart the building. You don't need to jumpstart it this time. You need to actually buy into what you have here, develop it over time, and see what you're going to do. And I think that that's the best path to take with this team, right? Is go forward and not make the trade for like the stars and people that have pointed that stuff out. Like, go through and see what you have first in this team. Let these players grow. Let these players have the opportunity. Don't take that away from them. Don't take the ball out of their hands. Don't change Coby's role again. Don't change Josh Giddey's role yet. Add organically to this team through the draft with young players, and then just see where you fall at, right? And you may come out on the other side of that in a place that is much better. The thing that I've always criticized this front office for is the fact that they do not have that it seemed like they were terrified to take a momentary step back for the longer term step forward. That's a more sustainable step. And they've actually done that now, right? And that doesn't mean it's all going to be pretty. If anybody's expecting the season to just start off next year and it just be, these good vibes that we're feeling now, no, there's going to be teams that adjust, right? They're going to be teams that then realize that, hey, we can't take the Bulls lightly. They're going to be teams that have a better game plan for Coby at number one. More data on how they need to guard Coby and Josh Giddey. How does Matas Buzelis step up? We're adding Io back to the team as well. What happens there, right? And it's not going to be all smooth sailing. It's going to be some rough patches. But how they come out of that, that's going to be the important part of that. And I'm excited to see this process, right? I haven't been excited about a Bulls young team, a young version of the team, for quite a while. I tried to get there when it was Wendell and Laurie and Coby when they initially came to the team, but then between injuries and kind of disappointment play from some of those guys, it didn't really go the place that I was hoping it was going to go with having a young squad. You've now added young kind of still experience, right? Like Josh Giddey, only 22 years old, but look at the amount of NBA experience that he does have, right? Which is helping this team have the solid base that it has. Coby's 25 years old, older than Josh Giddey, right? He'll be 26 the majority of next season, but he has now experience and he's stepping into a number one role to start off the season. Then we already know Matas, the youth that Matas brings, Io as well. A first-round pick, we'll see who that's going to be. Is going to be center, is going to be forward, is going to be something outside the box. Those things are all very exciting places to be for the Bulls team. And I think if more Bulls fans were able to step back and look at this, not for what they wanted the team to be, but more so for who the team actually is, and embrace that, then you'll see that you could be missing something special by just focusing on the desire for lottery balls and odds and all of that. Like, there's something that could be special brewing here in Chicago, and we got to have time to build that up and get there organically, and we'll see what happens with that. Now, I am wearing my Coby White shirt today for those on the YouTube side that can see it. Coby White broke his own record for most three-pointers made in the Chicago Bulls season with 210 threes made on the season last year. He set a new Bulls record. He broke, like I said, his own record. And I've said it before, Zach LaVine owns the record right now for most three-pointers made by a Chicago Bull in their career. Coby White is going to, especially if he signs a contract extension, that record's going to be shattered through. He is going to shatter that record, not just break it. He's going to push that further out. But with the way the league is going, with more three-pointers made, things like that, you can't say anything's impossible to get. But, what Coby White's doing, man, this season, and Coby's just a feel-good story. It just really is. Like, on top of the man and the person that he is, like I said before the other day, from clap it up to clutch, right? Like, from the moment of that clap it up moment, we're looking at that as a moment that so many people are kind of over Coby White, to now being the guy, right, that has been clutch. Coby White through the month of March is averaging 32 points, only 3 games, 32 points per game on 64% shooting. He shot 75% yesterday. But like, what he's doing, man, it's just been, it's really special to see, man. And so, like, Coby's following up his month of March with a great month. I think he said through March, but through April so far, 32 points per game, man. That's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous, and how he's doing it makes it even crazier to see, man. So, Coby finishing the season strong is fun. Coby deserves it, man. And like I said, what we're having now between him and Josh Giddey has really been fun to watch, man. And they've really turned themselves in to quite a duo over this time period for the Chicago Bulls, man. You look at the start of the season where their minutes together weren't necessarily the best, right? And those minutes now are starting to become the ones that are most important for this Bulls team. And then, also, like, let's be clear, they're on-off minutes as well. Like, when you leave one of them out there with a bench unit or something like that, like, that's still being such a high point for this team as well because of the way they're able to create off their drives. Like, again, I again, as a basketball mind, I do look at this and say, I can't wait to see how teams scheme differently for this, but I think that's going to be a very important thing on how they scheme for it going forward, right? But outside of just that, like outside of the scheming for it part, is that what happens next for this team as far as getting to a place of seeing, hey, what is Coby and Giddey going to really be together, right? Getting to that place is going to be really, really important. I think for the Bulls to just watch how they adapt, because I tell you what, Coby and Josh Giddey have adapted a lot better to each other than I thought was going to happen in year one, right? Whereas the start of the season, they were a net negative. I just want to go over this. Since the All-Star break, Josh Giddey and Coby White's minutes together were plus 57, right? With a plus 7.7 net rating. Again, that would be one of the best net ratings in the game of basketball if they're able to do that for an entire season. An offensive rating of 124, a defensive rating of 116, which isn't the best, right? But we know the Chicago Bulls haven't had the best defense this year. And that's great. 103 pace, a true shooting percentage of 62, an effective field goal shooting percentage of 59. Like, come on, man. That is if you can't build a really good team based off that, I don't know what to tell you, man. So, we'll see what the future does hold for that, man. But I'm really excited about what this team can be, what they've shown that they're developing into. Coby coming into his own this season. Josh Giddey, from him starting off the season, which he did start it off bad till now, all that stuff being really special. You got to love to see it, and we'll see how it continues to grow and develop. But all right, let's get into the last topic I want to talk about before we leave out of here. First up, the Bull, Lonzo Ball, right? Lonzo was initially announced as coming back either the Friday or Sunday game. He came back for neither. And the woulda, coulda, shoulda, and I know Billy Donovan said before that they're not contemplating shutting Lonzo Ball down, but I think they should. I think it's time to shut Lonzo Ball down. Just because you don't want to get, like, if Lonzo's at the point, right, especially with Billy Donovan saying it's just things he's not comfortable doing on the basketball court yet, don't let him just rest up. Like, he's already under contract for another year. I get it that there may be some sense from him and maybe even from the Bulls organization to save face on that new contract that they give him to have him come back for the play-in or something like that. Like, I'm at the point now, just shut Lonzo Ball down. It makes more sense to just do that. Like, clearly he's not healthy. Clearly he's not ready to go. He's missed 18 games in a row after missing 14 games in a row. I think it was 12 games in a row earlier in the season. Like, he's almost lost the season due to a wrist injury twice. Like, and a wrist, there's a good probability of being smacked out there. Just shut him down. Like, that's where I stand at when it comes to Lonzo. And this isn't to shit on Lonzo or whatever else. We'll talk about the Lonzo contract and things over the course of the offseason, but it's just time to shut it down, right? It just is what it is. And to think that there are people, and I know it's mainly just Ball family stands, that were asking the question, if because the Bulls re-signed Lonzo, does that mean that Josh Giddey isn't going to be the starting point guard going forward? You cannot bet on anything with Lonzo Ball. You just can't. And it's his body, right? Like, when he's on the court, we know what he can bring, but like, Lonzo at this point is just shut him down and hope that you can get more out of him next season, because at this point, he's just not going to bring what we need him to bring. And, and I'll be love to be proved wrong about that, but what we know right now is that I think it's just better to shut Lonzo Ball down for the season. That's just my personal opinion. And then another question, huge question, what is going on with Jalen Smith? And, maybe this is, again, the Bulls not being as forthcoming with injuries or whatever else it is, but Jalen Smith did not get in a game, even in garbage time, where he was the only player off that bench to not check in. It's starting to look like something more serious is going on there. Now, maybe it's not. Maybe he's in the doghouse for another reason. Maybe I don't know, right? But it's starting to get a little weird that we're not seeing any of Jalen Smith. None, right? And and he's sitting on the sideline with ice on his knees. Like, if it is something there, like I said it on Locked On Bulls, I would not be surprised if we hear in the offseason that maybe he has to have a small minor surgery or something like that, because at this point, the non-playment of Jalen Smith is just starting to seem a little weird. It's just really starting to seem weird. But there's two things that we're monitoring as we go over the rest of the season and the play-in, and maybe they'll make a surprise play for the Bulls. But that's my time for today, guys. Make sure you guys are following us at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.